Hello, I'm Sassy, Yona, and today we're going to be working on how to do a project. Before we get started, we're going to learn some important vocabulary so that you can understand all the ideas we need to know for organizing a project. The first word, research. What is research? Research is finding information like on the internet or in a video, or you might find information in a book or a magazine. That's research, when we look for information. Judge. To judge is to decide if something is good or bad. Combine. To combine is to mix together, to take one thing and another thing and to put them together is to combine. A topic. A topic is an idea or a subject. The topic for your project is what you will be writing about. An article. An article is a story in written media. Usually it could be news or it gives information in an article. Summarize. To summarize is to give the main points, usually after you have read or looked at something long. To summarize is to tell the main points from what you have read or seen. A conclusion is your final decision or your final idea. Is to conclude, you write a conclusion. A reflection. Reflection is giving serious thought to something. At the end of your project, you write a reflection, your own ideas, thinking about the process of writing the project. At the end, you write a reflection. Let's just review these words with a game, quickly. We're going to do the memory game. Probably you remember this game from when you were small. We need to match the word with its definition. The first word, research. What word goes with research? Remember what research is. Let's take a look. Is it to give main points, to conclude, draw a conclusion, combine, subject, serious thought, judge, story in written media, final decision, decide if it's good, reflection, topic, article, mixed together, finding information, or summarize. What is the definition of research? Of course, you got it. Finding information. Good job. Conclusion. See, the two cards from research and its definition disappeared. What is conclusion? I'll give you a minute to find the right answer. What is a conclusion? There we go. The final decision is the conclusion. Now we take out those two cards. And the next word, topic. What means the same as topic? Subject. Good job, you guys. Let's continue. Article. Which definition goes with article? What is an article? You found it. Good job. A story in written media is an article. Next, judge. What is to judge? Do you remember? Which one of these definitions is it? Is it to give main points, serious thought, to decide if it's good, mix together, reflection, combine, or summarize? Which one goes with judge? To decide if it's good. Well done. Next, summarize. What is to summarize? I'll give you a second to find the right answer before I tell you. To give main points. Good job. Okay, we only have 2 more words left with their definitions. What is to combine? To mix together. Good job. And the last 2 words, reflection, is serious thought. Now that you know these words, we're ready to really get started with our lesson. What are we going to learn today? Can you evaluate articles? Evaluate is to judge. Can you judge if an article is good or not? When you see an article, can you decide whether it's a good one to use for information in your project? Can you find the information you need in articles? Okay, it's not good enough just to find an article and decide that it's good. You also need to be able to find the information you need in your articles. Next, can you summarize important points from your articles in your own words? Okay, in your own words is important. When you summarize, you put it in your own words, the most important points. And finally, can you write a simple project on a subject in your area of interest? Well, by the end of today's lesson, the answer to that question will be yes. Here's our lesson plan for today. We're going to talk about why learn to research. Why is that important? What needs to be in your project? How to choose a topic? Online research and evaluating articles, deciding if articles are good or not. Next, getting information from articles, combining information from different articles and working on your writing. At the end, a reflection, and then we will review the vocabulary that we just learned. So, the first topic, why do we need to learn to research? Why do we have to do this project in high school? There's a lot of reasons why you should do a project, not only because your teacher makes you do it. There are a lot of good reasons to understand that the reason for having to do a project in high school. First of all, you learn from doing a project how to find answers to real problems and real questions. Second, you learn how to make conclusions from your research. So when you read lots of different things or you see different information, you learn to draw your own conclusions. You think about them and you make decisions. This is a skill that you will need for later when you go to university and also in life, okay? To learn to research and read and get information from different areas and then make our own decisions is really what we learn to do in a project. So, what needs to be in your project? First, you need to have a cover page. What is the cover page? That's where you write your topic, your name, the date, and your teacher's name. After that, you put a table of contents. A table of contents is a list of what is in your project. Then comes the body of your work. That's the main part of your work, giving your research, all the information that you have found. After that, you'll have your reflection. In your reflection, you're writing in your own voice what you have learned. After, your teacher will ask you to put a bibliography, which is a list of articles or sources that you used, and you'll also probably be asked to put in some other things like the actual articles that you used to research and maybe pictures or anything else that doesn't fit into the body of your work goes at the end. How do we choose a topic for the project? It's harder than you think. I can tell you that lots of times students start with a topic, they start working on it, and then they decide after they've already started, shoot, this really wasn't a good topic, and they go back and change their topic and they have to start over from the beginning. Let's try to learn how to choose a good topic so that that won't happen to you. A good topic should be something that you are interested in learning about. Why? Because you're going to have to spend a lot of time working on this project. If you're not really interested in it, it's not going to be fun for you, and it's going to feel much more tiring to work on it. You won't like it. Okay? So find something that you really want to find out more information about. However, don't choose a topic that you already know everything there is to know. Because you have to do a lot of research, take advantage of this. Let this be an opportunity for you to learn something new. Next, you have to make sure there is information on the topic. If you choose a topic and then you get started and you cannot find any information about it, it's not a good topic and you'll have to start over. So before you make a final decision on your topic, make sure you can find information about your topic. Finally, your teacher will have requirements, things that he or she says you must have for your topic. So make sure what you choose fits what your teacher is asking for. What are your teacher's requirements? I don't know. You have to ask your teacher. However, these are some things that your teacher might have for her or his requirements. Is the topic relevant to you? Meaning, does it touch your life? Does it have meaning for you? Next, is it focused enough? Don't choose a topic that's too broad, too big. Your topic needs to be small enough that you can find the information and stay focused. Is your topic related to your class's studies? Usually, your teacher will give what's called an umbrella topic, like a category, all right? And so you have to make sure that the topic you choose falls into the category that your teacher is asking for. Let's look at an example. My teacher's umbrella topic is an environmental problem, okay? My teacher came to class and she said, everyone in the class needs to do a project about a problem in the environment, an environmental problem. The topic I decided to choose was plastic garbage. Is this in my teacher's umbrella topic? Is plastic garbage an environmental problem? Yes, it is. Now, I'm going to do what's called some preliminary research, which means in the very beginning, I need to make sure that there is actually information on my topic. I'm going to use keywords when I search on Google. Keywords are the words that I type into Google. You can see plastic garbage. Those are my keywords. And when I typed into Google, you can just barely see right here in the search, I searched for the words plastic garbage. And then I clicked enter to see if there is information about plastic garbage. Well, this you can see is just the beginning of what came up. A lot of articles came up. So I could see that yes, there is information about the topic of plastic garbage. Hooray, we have a topic. So I can move forward with researching the topic of plastic garbage. Now, when we research online, what do we look for? Well, you can look at online newspaper articles, blogs, you can look at social media, you can look in books and printed magazines or newspapers also, even though those are not online. And finally, you can look at YouTube videos too. Probably most of your research will be online newspaper articles, blogs, social media, and YouTube videos, okay? So the first articles when I looked on Google that I found were these articles. These were some that I picked out that I thought would be good articles. I'm going to take a look at them. Why can't I use just any article that I find on Google? Let's say the first top 5 Google articles that come up on Google. You should remember, Google is a popularity contest, not a judge of what is worthwhile. What does that mean? That means that on Google, the first things that come up are the most popular things. So you still need to judge them to decide if they are good or not. How do we judge articles? First of all, is the information up to date on the topic? So on the topic of plastic garbage, there's a lot going on with this topic. I don't want to use anything that's before 2019. I want it to be very up to date. I want it to be recent, written only in the last year or maybe year and a half. So I'm only going to look at articles written in 2019 and 2020. Next, is the article giving information that's superficial or detailed? Is it giving me a lot of information or is it just very general? Is it relevant to my topic? Next, when we look at whether the article is relevant or not, I'm going back now and looking at one of the articles that came up. One of these articles that I chose was one that looked like a real good article to me, right? From a newspaper called The Intercept. However, when I looked at it closely, I saw this article is about plastic garbage, which is good, but it is not relevant to an Israeli high school student because it is about plastic garbage in Africa. The article talks about Kenya and Ethiopia, but I think I want to be more focused. I want to talk about Israel, plastic garbage in Israel. So now I'm taking another look at my topic and I'm re-evaluating it. At first I said I was going to talk about plastic pollution. I decided now I'm going to look at the plastic pollution problem in Israel. Next, how do I know if the information is correct? How do you know? How do you know if what you read is correct or not? Well, you need to look at several articles. Look at a few articles and see if they give all the same information. If they give the same information, you can probably know that it's correct. If one article gives different information, you might not be able to trust that article. Make sure also that it comes from sites that you have heard of so that you know that they are legitimate. How do I judge if a video is good? What makes a good video? Mostly the same things that make a good article, okay? So that it must be timely, that it's relevant, that it's from a site that you've heard of, and does it have any new information? Oops. So we're going to now take a 10-minute break. During this break, go ahead and go to the bathroom and get a drink of water and relax and stretch a little bit. And during this time, I also want you to find an online article about the problem of plastic garbage and decide. I want you to judge, is this a good article to use? I'll see you again in 10 minutes. Okay, welcome back everyone. I hope you freshened up during the break. And did you find an article about the problem of plastic garbage? Was it good to use? Did you judge your article, deciding if it's good or not? You needed to use the tools that we learned in the first part of the lesson. What did we learn? We learned, of course, how to choose a good topic for a project, how to decide if we have a good topic, and how to find articles and videos for information and judge if the articles are good. That's what we've already done in the first part of our lesson. Now we will continue. How do we actually, now that we have articles, how do we get the information from those articles? The articles won't do us any good if we cannot get from them the information that we need. So the next step in the process of your project is taking information from the articles. The first thing that I always tell my students to do is to print the articles. They're difficult to read on the computer, and so it makes it much easier if you can print your articles. Also, lots of times your teacher might demand that you print your articles and turn them in with your project. I know that's what I do with my students. I always say they have to give me their articles that they used with their project. So first, print your articles. Next, highlight them. What is to highlight? You can see right here, the word highlight has been highlighted using a marker pen. Okay, so we mark the important information in our article. After you find the important information, you need to type that information into your work in your own words. How do you make it in your own words? This is the hard part, and we'll come back to that later. Try to work under headings, so put titles for the important parts of your project. And then when you find information from your articles, put the information directly under the headings. Keep track of the articles that you use. Lots of times you find a good article and you know you want to use it, and then afterwards you come back to work on it and you've lost the link. So make sure that when you find an article that you want to use, that you already copy the link and put it already into the beginning of your bibliography so that you can keep track of those articles. Now, what information should I look for? Meaning, I said before, you need to take the important information from your articles. How do you know what's important and what's not? So, what should you highlight in the articles as you read them? You need to look for facts, names, and statistics. A lot of times, statistics are numbers. When you see things like that, most of the time, you can highlight them because you know they're telling you something important. Not always, but lots of times, names and numbers and facts are what's important. Will you have to read all of the article? It will take you a very, very long time if you read every word in every article that you want to use. What I suggest you do is read the first sentence of each paragraph. Don't read the whole thing. Read the first sentence of the paragraph. if you see that that sentence is something important for you, then you can highlight it and read that paragraph, okay? But if that first sentence is about something that you do not want to use in your project, you can skip that paragraph. Go ahead, I'm giving you permission. You can skip reading that paragraph because most likely, if the first sentence does not relate to your project, if the first sentence is not relevant for you, probably the whole paragraph is not relevant. So you can skip, okay, that paragraph. You don't have to read it. What else to look for? In the beginning, you probably thought of questions that you want to answer in your project, okay? So for example, in my project about plastic pollution, maybe some of my questions are things like, where in Israel is there a problem? Or how much garbage is there? Or maybe, have people found solutions or answers to my problem? So if I find, when I'm reading, answers to those questions, I'm going to highlight it. What is to highlight? To mark it with your marker pen. Also, look for key words, okay? So, for example, if one of my questions is that I'm looking for solutions to the problem of plastic garbage, maybe I'll look for the word solution. A solution is an answer to a problem. So I'm going to look for the word solution. And if I find it, I'm going to highlight that part of the work. Now, when you go online and you look at an article, lots of times it's very hard to read. Okay, I'll show you an example. This is one of the links that I found, and when I click on it on the internet, it looks like this. There's lots of stuff all over the page, as you can see, and it's hard for me to read. Okay, you see that? There's all these pictures and advertisements and all kinds of other things that are taking my attention away from the reading that I need to do. So what I want to do is scroll down to the bottom, and I hope it has it here. Okay, oops, not that. And where is it? Well, it had it when I did this before. Ah, here we go. You can barely see it, but right here, my pen's not working. Okay, I'll show you with the arrow. Right here, okay, is a little print sign, okay? If you click on that, you can print your article in a way that's much easier for you to read. So going back to my PowerPoint here, when I printed that article, it looked like this, and it's much easier for me to read and to highlight it, okay? So after I printed it, I looked at the first page and I saw two things that I wanted to highlight. Okay, let's take a look. It says, Israel has a plastic problem. Great, I know this is about my topic. The Israel Union for Environmental Defense reports that Israelis produce twice the international average of plastic waste per person per day. Why did I highlight that? Why did I decide that that's important? Because it's giving me a fact, a statistic, and I want to use that in my project. It also says here, right on the first page, aside from all the plastic bags, takeaway containers, forks, knives, and spoons, we throw out 250 million plastic cups every month. wow, that's an important statistic and I want to use it in my project. That's why I've marked it here with my highlighter. Now, how do you use a video? Really? You use a video a lot in the same way you use an article. What makes it difficult is that you need to listen carefully. However, nowadays, when you play a video on YouTube, you can stop it whenever you want, okay? So if we take a look, actually this video is nice because instead of a person talking, it gives you things in writing. And so, if I pause it right there, in the very beginning, it gives me time to read this. Billions of tons of plastic are produced every year. Over 90% are dumped in landfills, burned, or end up in the environment. Is this a good video? Yes, I think it is. It's from a site called Ziehit, which is a legitimate site. And also, right here in the very beginning, it's given me information that I want to put in my project, right? Or I don't know if I can, I can't mark this, but anyway, the second sentence I want to use. And so I'm gonna take that and put it already in my work, in my own writing. Don't forget the part that it has to be in your own words, not somebody else's words. Okay, so how do you judge if a video is useful? As I've already said, judge if it is a good video in the same way as you do for a written article. Make sure it is made by someone you have heard of. Pause the video often to make sure you understand, and write information as you watch, okay? Pause it and then write the information down, just like if you're reading an article. Now that I've taken information and I've written information down from lots of different places, I've read some articles, I've watched a couple videos, what do I do with all the information that I've written down? How are we going to put it together? We're going to combine the information, right? Take things from one place and another place and put them together. You're going to summarize your findings in your own words. Summarize means the main points, and it has to be your words, not the way somebody else wrote it. Look at your information from your research. What can you understand and conclude? Okay, you're going to make some decisions. If necessary, did you find an answer to your problem? Okay, so your teacher might tell you that you need to draw a conclusion. You need to find a solution or an answer to a problem. Okay, so for example, in my problem of plastic garbage, did I find ways to fight plastic garbage in Israel? If I did, I need to put that in my project. Put all your information under the proper headings, the titles, okay? Each section has a heading. Now, after we've done all of that, we're going to do the next step, which is the reflection. Remember what is a reflection? When you're giving serious thought to something. Lots of times, almost always, a teacher will ask a student to write a reflection after writing a project. You're thinking about the process of writing the project. I have to tell you, I consider the reflection one of the most important parts of your project. The reflection is important because this part is in your own voice and you are telling your teacher what you have learned. What have you gotten out of doing the project? What do you write in the reflection? Here are some questions. What was the most difficult part of writing your project? What was hard for you? Okay? you should write that in your reflection. Something like, I had a hard time finding good articles. Okay, maybe that was something that I had a hard time with. If so, write it in your reflection. What surprised you about writing the project? For example, maybe it took much longer than you thought it would. Maybe. Or maybe you were surprised that once you had the articles, it was easier than you thought it would be. Maybe that surprised you. Next, what was something important you learned about how to prepare a project? So for example, you might say, I never knew before how to get information from articles in a good way. I never was good at this before. Now I've practiced it and I did it with this project and I learned how to do it. Yay! And so this is something that I learned from doing the project. Okay, so you should talk about that in your reflection. Another thing to write about. Lots of times projects are done in groups. If you worked in a group with, say, two or three other students, how did your group divide the work? Okay, did you say, okay, Joe, you do this part, Miriam, you do this part, and I don't know, Karen, you do this part? Or did you all try to work together on every part? How did you work together? Was it a good way to work? Or did it not really work out? Like, for example, you might say, well, we gave this part to Miriam to do and she didn't really do her part, okay? If that happens, then you should, maybe without names, but you can say in your reflection, it was hard in the group because not everyone always did their work on time. Finally, what would you do differently next time you have to do a project? Okay, so like what did you do that didn't really work out that well and next time you'll do it in a different way? Very important, okay? Because your teacher wants to know what you really got out of doing this project. Next, working on your writing. So now we've pretty much gotten everything written down and we need to make it better. Okay, we have to fix up our writing. So first, take the parts that are under headings and put them in the order. It's kind of like a puzzle right now. And you're going to take each one and organize it. Okay, put your headings in the proper order. Then within each heading, move the paragraphs around. And within a paragraph, move the sentences around to make it so that it flows smoothly from one idea to the next. How else do we make our ideas flow smoothly from one idea to the next idea? You put in connecting words. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Finally, correcting and making your writing better. So what are connecting words? Connecting words are words that help your reader understand how one idea is related to the next idea that comes after it. You can have connectors like items in a list, like first, second, third. Connecting words that show a contradiction, like on the one hand, on the other hand. Connecting words that show you're giving an example, like, for example, or for this reason, or for one thing or for another thing. And words that show you're drawing a conclusion. So, in conclusion, or as can be seen. These are good connecting words. Make sure you use them because they make your writing sound better. When you work on your writing, what should you look for? Did you find information about your problem? Look back to your main idea. So did I actually find information about plastic pollution in Israel? Do all your ideas make sense? Do they flow nicely from one to the next? And always, for an important project, you should find somebody to read it for you and tell you if it makes sense. Either a classmate or a parent or somebody else, and if you cannot find somebody to do that for you, read it out loud and listen to yourself and see if it flows smoothly. What else do you need to put in your project? A bibliography, other things at the end, like your printed articles, photos, and anything else that doesn't fit in the body of your work. And don't forget, put your project together left to right. We're reading in English now, not in Hebrew or Arabic. We're reading from left to right. Okay, we're going to summarize the process. Can you put all of these steps in the right order? You don't need to memorize anything. It makes sense what you need to do first, second, third, etc. So let's take a look. First, choose a topic. Next, find articles and decide if they are good. Third, write the information in your own words. After that, combine all the information from articles and videos. The fifth step, write your reflection. 6, you're going to make your writing better. Go back and fix your writing. And finally, put all the pieces together. Let's review the vocabulary quickly. What is to research? Do you remember? Research is finding information. What is to judge? What is to judge? Oh yeah, judge is to decide if something is good. What do we do when we combine? We mix together. What is a topic? A topic is a subject. Do you remember what an article is? An article is a story written in the media. What is to summarize? You summarize when you give the main points. When you write a conclusion, you give your final decision. And finally, a reflection, is giving serious thought to something. So let's quickly go back now. What have we learned to do today? You have learned how to evaluate or judge sources to decide if they're good or not. You can now find the information you need in articles or videos. You can summarize important points from your articles or videos in your own words. And you now know how to write a simple report on a familiar subject in your area of interest. Okay, so if we go back and look at the lesson plan, we can see that we have done all of the things that we set out to do today. So good luck on your project, everybody. I'm sure you'll do a great job. And if you need help, who do you ask? Your teacher, of course. Good luck. Bye-bye.